The forgotten ship? The stars trembled as 10,000 warships filled the dark space. Each ship was massive, bigger than Earth's cities. They glowed with purple energy, their weapons ready to destroy anything in their path. This was the Grand Armada of the Zephyrian Empire. For 300 years, they had never lost a single battle. Admiral Vextar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Death's Crown. His 4 arms crossed behind his back as he watched the screens. His red eyes glowed with satisfaction. 10,000 ships, he said to his officers. The largest fleet in galactic history. And the humans. They sent what? A young officer checked his scanner. Sir, our sensors show only 1 ship approaching. It appears to be small. The bridge erupted in laughter. Officers from across the Empire had gathered for this moment. They had conquered 500 worlds. They had destroyed fleets of 1,000,000 ships. And now the famous humans of Earth had sent just 1 vessel to face them. 1 ship? Admiral Vextar's mandibles clicked in amusement. These humans are either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both. He turned to his weapons officer. How long to destroy it? Less than 30 seconds, sir. Our plasma cannons will turn it to dust. No, the Admiral said, raising one clawed hand. Let them get close. I want to see this famous human courage before we end it. Besides, our Emperor wants prisoners to study. We need at least 1 survivor. On the outer edge of the massive fleet, something strange drifted through space. It looked nothing like the sleek, powerful ships of the Empire. The human vessel was small, maybe the size of a single Empire fighter. Its hull was dark gray, covered in strange panels and tubes that seemed to grow from the metal like vines. No lights flickered on its surface. No energy signatures showed on any scanner. Sir, another officer called out. The human ship. It's not responding to our communication attempts. Are they dead? Admiral Vextar asked. Unknown, sir. The ship shows no energy readings at all. It's completely powered down. But it's still moving toward us. The Admiral's eyes narrowed. In all his battles, he had never seen anything like this. Ships needed power to move through space. They needed engines, life support, weapons. This human vessel showed nothing. It was like a piece of floating metal, but it moved with purpose. Perhaps their engines are broken, suggested the weapons officer. Maybe they're drifting on momentum. Then why aim directly at us? The Admiral watched the small ship on his main screen. Something about it made his scales itch with worry. What do we know about human technology? His intelligence officer stepped forward. Very little, sir. They appeared in the galaxy only 50 years ago. They have small settlements on 12 worlds. Their ships are unusual, not like any technology we've seen before. Unusual how? They seem to combine different alien technologies in strange ways. Our spies report that humans are very good at taking broken things and making them work again. But sir, they've never built anything bigger than a cargo hauler, nothing that could threaten us. Admiral Vextar nodded, but the feeling of unease remained. He had not lived this long by ignoring his instincts. Order the first battle line to power weapons. If that ship makes any aggressive moves, destroy it immediately. 2,000 ships in the front of the formation began charging their massive guns. Purple energy crackled between their weapon ports. The combined firepower could crack a moon in half. The human ship continued its slow approach. Still no lights, still no energy readings. It looked dead in the water, but it kept coming straight toward them. Distance? The Admiral asked. 500 kilometers and closing, sir. Any change in their status? No, sir. Still showing as completely powerless. Admiral Vextar's 4 hands clenched into fists. Something was very wrong here. No species would send a dead ship against the Grand Armada. No one was that stupid or that crazy. Unless it's not dead, he whispered to himself. Suddenly alarms began screaming across the bridge. Every screen flashed red warning signals. The sensor officer's voice cracked with fear as he shouted, "Sir! Energy spike detected!" The small human ship had begun to glow, not the familiar purple of Empire technology or the blue of most alien races. This was something different, something that made the very fabric of space around it shimmer like heat waves. The glow was white, like a star being born. It pulsed gently like a heartbeat, and as it grew brighter, every sensor on every Empire ship began to go insane with readings they couldn't understand. What is that energy signature? Admiral Vextar demanded. His officers frantically worked their controls, but their faces showed only confusion and growing fear. Sir, we don't know. It's not matching any known power source in our databases. The human ship had stopped moving. It hung in space like a glowing jewel, its white light growing stronger with each pulse. And in that light, Admiral Vextar saw something that made his blood turn to ice. The ship was changing. Sir, the sensor officer whispered, I think we made a terrible mistake. The first strike, the white light from the human ship grew brighter. Space itself seemed to bend around the small vessel, like looking at the bottom of a clear lake. Admiral Vextar's sensors were screaming warnings that made no sense. Energy readings are impossible, sir. The sensor officer shouted over the alarms. The scale is beyond our equipment's ability to measure. Fire warning shots, the Admiral commanded. Show them we mean business. 100 plasma cannons fired bright purple beams toward the human ship. The bolts of energy that could melt steel mountains struck. Nothing. They passed right through the space where the ship floated, as if it wasn't there at all. What? Admiral Vextar's 4 eyes went wide. Check your targeting systems. Sir, targeting is perfect. The ship is right there, but our weapons can't touch it. Inside the strange human vessel, 3 people sat calmly in chairs that looked nothing like normal pilot seats. The chairs seemed to be grown from the same flowing metal as the ship itself. Captain Sarah Chen, a woman with graying hair and calm eyes, watched the Empire's weapons fire through her ship harmlessly. They're getting nervous, Ghost. A voice answered from everywhere and nowhere, speaking like wind through leaves. Yes, Captain. Their fear smells familiar. Should I show them what real power looks like? Not yet, said Captain Chen. Let them fire a few more times. Marcus, how are the quantum fields? Engineer Marcus Rodriguez, a young man with worried eyes, checked displays that showed numbers and symbols no Empire scientist would understand. Stable, Captain. We're existing in 7 dimensions right now. Their weapons can only hit 3. The third crew member wasn't human at all. In the corner sat an AI core that glowed with soft blue light. This was Ghost, and it was very old. Older than the Empire. Older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Back on the Empire flagship, panic was growing. They had fired 1,000 shots, and every single one had missed. The human ship just floated there, glowing brighter with each failed attack. Sir, a communications officer called out. The human ship it's moving. The small vessel didn't fly like normal ships. It didn't use engines or thrust. One moment it was a kilometer away. The next moment it was directly behind the Empire's largest battleship. It had simply appeared there. Impossible! Admiral Vextar screamed. Nothing moves that fast. Not even light. Captain Chen's voice came over every Empire communication system at once, calm and clear. Admiral Vextar, you have exactly 1 chance to surrender. Order your fleet to power down weapons and prepare for boarding. The Admiral's mandibles clicked with rage. Humans, you've faced the Grand Armada. We have never lost a battle. Your one little ship cannot defeat 10,000. Ghost, Captain Chen said quietly. Show them why Earth chose us to come here. The human ship suddenly split in half. Then those halves split again, and again. In moments, where one ship had been, now 50 identical vessels floated in perfect formation around the Empire fleet. Every Empire sensor went completely insane. 50 ships, all reading as completely real, all glowing with that impossible white energy. The crews of 10,000 warships stared in horror at screens that made no sense. Which one is real? An officer screamed. All of them. Ghost's voice whispered through every Empire ship at once. And none of them. Your science is too simple to understand. Admiral Vextar's scales turned pale. In 300 years of conquest, he had never seen anything like this. Open fire on all targets. Destroy them all. The Empire fleet unleashed everything. 10,000 ships fired at once. The space around them lit up like a new sun as millions of energy bolts filled the void. Surely nothing could survive this much firepower. When the light faded, all 50 human ships remained, completely undamaged. Worse, they had moved again. Now each one floated directly beside an Empire warship, close enough to touch. Impossible, Admiral Vextar whispered. Captain Chen's voice was still calm, but now it carried a coldness that made experienced warriors shiver. You had your chance, Admiral. Ghost, Protocol 7. With pleasure, Captain, the AI replied. Each of the 50 human ships extended what looked like a simple metal rod. Nothing dramatic, no glowing weapons or spinning cannons, just a small dark tube that pointed at the Empire vessels beside them. 50 beams of light, thinner than a human hair, reached out from the rods. They touched the hulls of 50 Empire battleships. The massive warships simply came apart. Not explosions, not fire. They just separated into their basic atoms and drifted away like cosmic dust. 5,000 Empire crew members never knew what hit them. In 30 seconds, 50 of the Empire's most powerful ships had become nothing. The remaining Empire fleet sat in stunned silence. Admiral Vextar stared at his screens, watching the debris fields where his ships had been moments before. "Retreat," he finally screamed. "All ships retreat." But when the Empire vessels tried to turn away, they found something terrifying. The space around them had become solid. They couldn't move. They couldn't escape. Captain Chen's voice came again, soft as falling snow, deadly as winter itself. "No one leaves." The impossible technology Admiral Vextar stared at his navigation screens in horror. His engines were at full power, but his massive flagship wouldn't move even 1 meter. It was like space itself had become thick as stone around them. "Engineering report," he screamed. "Sir, engines are working perfectly, but we're not moving. Something is holding us in place." Across the Empire fleet, 9,050 ships found themselves trapped in an invisible cage. Their crews frantically worked controls, but nothing happened. They were prisoners in their own vessels. On the human ship, Engineer Marcus looked worried as he watched his displays. "Captain, maintaining 50 quantum copies is using a lot of power. We can keep this up for maybe 20 minutes. Captain Chen nodded calmly. "That's enough time. Ghost, tell me about the Empire's history." The AI's ancient voice filled the bridge. "The Zephyrian Empire has destroyed 847 civilizations in the past 3 centuries. They take prisoners only to study new technologies, then eliminate entire species. Their last victims were the peaceful Andromedans. 7 billion souls gone in a single day." Captain Chen's face hardened. "And they wanted to do the same to Earth." "Yes, Captain. Their battle plans included complete human extinction after studying our technology." Marcus looked up from his controls, his young face pale. "Captain, are we really going to, all of them?" Before Captain Chen could answer, Admiral Vextar's desperate voice came over the communications. "Human ship, we demand to know what technology you're using. No known science can do what you're doing." Captain Chen activated her communicator. "You want to know, Admiral? Very well. But first, let me tell you a story. On every Empire ship, screens flickered to life showing Captain Chen sitting in her strange, flowing chair. 52 years ago, she began. A ship crashed on Earth, not one of ours. Something very old, from a civilization that died long before your empire was born. Most of the ship was destroyed, but we found something in the wreckage. The screens showed images of a glowing crystal, beautiful and mysterious. We called it the Heart. It was alive, in a way. It had been waiting for someone worthy to find it. Someone who would use its power not for conquest, but for protection." Admiral Vextar leaned forward. "Impossible! No technology can be alive. Your science is limited, Admiral. The Heart doesn't just power our ship. It is our ship. Every piece of metal, every wire, every system grew from that single crystal. And it chose us." Marcus continued the story, his voice gaining confidence. "We spent 50 years learning to work with it. Not to control it, but to become its partners. The Heart taught us things your empire could never understand." "Like what?" demanded the Admiral. Ghost's voice answered, cold as space itself. "Like how to fold space and time. Like how to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Like how to turn matter back into energy with a thought." On his bridge, Admiral Vextar felt his blood turn to ice. "You're saying your ship is alive?" "More alive than you know," Captain Chen replied. "And it remembers every species your empire has destroyed. Every world you've burned. Every innocent life you've taken." The human ship began to change. The 50 copies started moving closer together, their white light growing brighter. As they moved, they began to merge back into one vessel. But this ship was different now, larger. The metal hull flowed like liquid, forming new shapes, new weapons. "The Heart has decided," Captain Chen said quietly. Your empire ends here. Admiral Vextar tried one last desperate move. Wait, we can make a deal. The Empire has resources. Technology. We can share everything. You shared death with 847 civilizations, Marcus replied, his worry replaced by cold determination. Why should Earth be different? Because we're stronger than you, the Admiral screamed. We have weapons you can't imagine. Planet killers. Star destroyers. As if summoned by his words, the largest ship in the Empire fleet began to move. It was 3 times bigger than any other vessel, covered in massive weapons. The World Ender, Admiral Vextar's secret weapon. Sir, an officer called out. The World Ender is breaking free of whatever's holding us. The massive ship had torn itself loose from the space trap through sheer brute force. Its main weapon, a cannon the size of a city block, began to glow with terrible energy. If I cannot escape, Admiral Vextar snarled, then I'll destroy everything. That weapon can crack planets. Let's see your living ship survive a direct hit. The planet-killing cannon finished charging. Energy that could destroy worlds focused into a single devastating beam aimed directly at the human vessel. Captain, Marcus shouted in panic. That weapon could actually hurt us. Captain Chen remained calm, but her knuckles were white as she gripped her chair. Ghost, can we survive that? The AI was quiet for a long moment. When it spoke, its voice was different. Older, more ancient than stars. Captain, it is time you knew the truth about what I really am. The true power revealed, the planet-killer weapon fired. A beam of pure destruction, powerful enough to crack worlds in half, screamed through space toward the human ship. The energy was so intense that nearby stars flickered from its passage. Captain Chen watched the approaching beam on her screen. In 3 seconds it would hit them. Ghost, whatever you're going to do, do it now. Very well, Captain. It is time you saw what your species truly found in that crashed ship. The human vessel began to change, but not like before. This was different, terrifying, beautiful. The metal hull didn't just flow, it grew, like a flower blooming, like a tree spreading its branches, like life itself awakening from a long sleep. In moments, their small ship had become something impossible. It stretched across space, larger than the biggest Empire vessels. But it wasn't just big. It was alive in ways that made reality bend around it. The hull pulsed like a heartbeat. Lights moved through its surface like blood through veins. The planet-killer beam struck the transformed ship directly and disappeared. Impossible, Admiral Vextar screamed as his sensors showed readings that made no sense. Nothing can absorb that much energy. On the human bridge, Marcus stared in shock at his instruments. Captain, we're not just absorbing the energy. We're eating it, converting it into something else. Ghost's voice had changed completely. No longer the helpful AI they knew, but something ancient beyond imagination. I have been hungry for so long. Thank you, Admiral, for this meal. The transformed ship began to glow brighter than a sun. Energy coursed through its living hull, and where that energy flowed, new weapons grew. Not metal cannons, but organic things that looked like they belonged on some impossible creature from the dawn of time. Ghost, Captain Chen said quietly. What are you really? I am the last guardian, Captain Chen. My people built me 1 million years ago, before your son was born. We created me to watch over the galaxy, to test each new species that reached for the stars. The ship continued growing, its living metal spreading across space like wings. Inside, the bridge had become something from a dream. The walls pulsed gently, covered in patterns that hurt to look at directly. The air itself seemed alive. For 1 million years I have tested them all, Ghost continued. The Zephyrians were among the first. They found fragments of my siblings and used them to build their empire. They failed the test by choosing conquest over wisdom. Admiral Vextar's voice cracked with terror as he watched the impossible ship fill his screens. What do you want from us? The same thing I wanted from all the others. I wanted to see if you could grow beyond your need to destroy. You could not. Marcus looked around the transformed bridge, his young face full of wonder and fear. And humans, did we pass your test? You are still being tested, Marcus Rodriguez. But so far, you show promise. The living ship had stopped growing. It now filled space like a small moon, its surface covered in weapons that defied description. But instead of firing, it simply waited. "Captain Chen," Ghost said, "the choice is yours. I can end the Zephyrian Empire in moments. Every ship, every world, every trace of their civilization. Or you can choose mercy. But know this, if they survive, they will try to destroy Earth again someday." Captain Chen closed her eyes. Around her, the living bridge pulsed with patient energy. She thought of Earth, of her family back home, of the 7 billion Andromedans who had died because someone else had chosen mercy when they shouldn't have. "Ghost, show me their worlds. Show me their people." The walls around them became transparent, showing images of Zephyrian planets. Cities full of ordinary people, children playing in parks, families sharing meals, scientists working to cure diseases, artists creating beautiful things. "Even the Empire has innocence," Ghost said softly. "This is always the hardest part of the test." Marcus wiped tears from his eyes. "Captain, what do we do?" Before she could answer, Admiral Vextar made his final desperate choice. Throughout the trapped Empire fleet, self-destruct systems began activating. If he couldn't win, he would take the humans with him. "If we die," the Admiral screamed over every communication channel, "you die with us. All ships, maximum destruction protocols." For the Empire, 9,000 warships began to overload their power cores simultaneously. The combined explosion would be powerful enough to destroy everything within 100 light-years, including nearby star systems with billions of innocent lives. The countdown began. 30 seconds to detonation. "Captain!" Marcus shouted over alarms. "He's going to take out 3 solar systems." Captain Chen opened her eyes and they blazed with determination. "Ghost, can you stop it?" "Yes, Captain. But to absorb that much energy and contain the explosion, I will have to reveal my true form. The galaxy will never be the same. 20 seconds. Do it. 10 seconds. Ghost's voice filled space itself, speaking to every living thing within 1,000 light years. "I am awake." The new Guardians. The words, "I am awake," echoed across the galaxy like thunder. Every living being on every world, in every star system within 1,000 light years, heard Ghost's voice in their minds. Plants stopped growing. Animals looked up at the sky. Civilizations that had never met humans suddenly knew that something ancient had returned. The explosion began. 9,000 Empire warships detonated at exactly the same moment. The combined blast created a wall of fire and energy that rushed outward at the speed of light, carrying enough force to sterilize entire solar systems. But Ghost was ready. The living ship, already moon-sized, began to expand again, not growing larger this time, but stretching across dimensions that human science couldn't name. It became a net made of living energy, spread across space and time itself. The massive explosion hit Ghost's expanded form and simply stopped. Like water hitting a dam, the destructive energy was caught, held, and slowly absorbed into the Guardian's ancient body. Captain Chen felt the ship shudder as unimaginable power flowed through its living hull. "Ghost, are you okay?" "More than okay, Captain. I have not felt this alive in millennia. The Empire's final act of spite has given me strength I had forgotten I possessed." Where the explosion should have been, there was now only peaceful space. The 3 solar systems that would have died were safe. Billions of innocent lives continued, never knowing how close they had come to extinction. But Admiral Vextar was not finished. His flagship had survived the explosion by hiding behind a larger vessel. Now he activated his personal escape pod and launched toward the human ship. "If I cannot destroy you," he screamed into his communicator, "I will learn your secrets and return with a fleet 1,000,000 strong." The small pod raced toward Ghost's massive form, but instead of trying to escape, it attached itself to the living hull like a parasite. "Foolish," Ghost said sadly. "Even now he chooses conquest over wisdom." The pod's weapons began cutting through the hull. Admiral Vextar thought he was being clever, trying to get inside to capture human technology. He had no idea what he was really doing. "Captain," Marcus said, watching his screens with wide eyes. "He's cutting into Ghost's nervous system. It must be painful." "Ghost, do you want us to stop him?" Captain Chen asked. "No, Captain. Let him come inside. It is time for his final test." Minutes later, Admiral Vextar had cut his way into the ship's interior. He expected to find corridors and rooms. Instead, he found himself floating in a vast space filled with gentle light. The walls pulsed with soft colors, and the air itself seemed to whisper with ancient voices. "Welcome, Vextar," Ghost's voice said gently. "I have waited so long to meet you in person." The Admiral raised his weapon, looking around frantically. "Show yourself. Where are the humans? Where are your controls?" "The humans are safe, Admiral, and I have no controls. I am not a machine. I am life itself, given form and purpose." Suddenly, the space around Admiral Vextar filled with images. He saw the galaxy as it had been 1,000,000 years ago, when Ghost's creators still lived. Beautiful worlds, peaceful species working together, art and science beyond imagination. "We built me to guide younger species," Ghost explained, "to help them grow beyond their need for war, to teach them that true strength comes from protecting others, not destroying them." "Lies," the Admiral screamed. "Strength comes from conquest. The strong rule the weak. That is the way of the universe. That is your choice, Vextar, and because of that choice, your testing is complete." The Admiral raised his weapon to fire, but his hand wouldn't move. Looking down in horror, he saw that his body was turning to light, becoming part of the gentle glow around him. "You are returning to the universe, Admiral. Your atoms will become stars someday. Perhaps they will learn what you could not." As the last trace of Admiral Vextar faded into light, Ghost's voice filled the galaxy once more, but this time it was warm, hopeful. "Citizens of the galaxy, the Zephyrian Empire is ended. Their fleets are destroyed, their weapons silenced, but their people live. Their worlds remain. Those who choose peace over conquest may join the new age that begins today." Captain Chen sat in her chair, feeling the living ship pulse gently around her. "Ghost, what happens now?" "Now, Captain, you and your species become what you were always meant to be, the new Guardians." 6 months later, human ships patrolled the galaxy's trade routes, protecting the weak and helping rebuild worlds the Empire had damaged. Captain Sarah Chen had become Admiral Chen, leading the Galactic Defense Force from Ghost's living bridge. The old Empire worlds were free now. Some chose to join the human alliance. Others remained independent but peaceful. A few tried to restart their old ways of conquest and found themselves facing the terrible gentleness of Ghost's corrections. On Earth, children learned about the day their planet became the protector of the galaxy. They learned that true strength meant helping others, not hurting them. And in deep space, Ghost continued its eternal watch, no longer alone. It had finally found a species worthy of its trust. The 1,000,000-year test was over. The galaxy had new guardians, and they would never let another empire rise to threaten the innocent. "Remember," Ghost would whisper to each new human captain, "power without wisdom is destruction. Strength without kindness is evil. This is why I chose your species. Never forget." And they never did.